Part 2 of the big scope review. So I kind of want to do this in terms of different aspects of the scopes. So this one, I want to talk about features and what scopes have what features and anything that kind of sticks out that maybe be like a one-off or sort of proprietary to that scope, if you will, sort of some niche features, etc. And that way you guys can kind of see what scope has what, and if there's a particular feature that you're looking for or a particular setup you're looking for, then you kind of know where your options are and which ones are not your options. All right, so let's just start over here. This is going to be probably the most basic setup, the 5 to 25 or any of the Mark 5s really. You know, mill turrets, sort of a locking. It locks on 0 elevation, fast focus eyepiece, so non-locking, and that's pretty much it. No illumination on the PR2, which is obviously the most popular reticle choice, but it is lightweight. So if you're looking for a lightweight crossover, this is a really good option in terms of like I don't know if you just want a lightweight rig or like a hunting rig, etc. But then you want to have the same scope on your centerfire gun. This is great. Minimum parallax, I mean, 75 is the lowest marked, as I mentioned in my S3 comparison video. You can go a little bit below that, so it's unmarked, but I'm guessing maybe 50 yards. Not great for rimfire. I don't ever see these on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? See these on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? See these on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? See these on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? See these on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? These on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? These on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Fuck was that? These on a rimfire rifle, so probably not. Okay, that was weird, but hey, I'm open and honest about every review I've ever fucking done. After a long search, I finally found this. I'll put a close-up of it, but essentially it just looks like a coned screw, a grub screw of some sort, and I don't even know if you guys will be able to see it, but again, I'll put a close-up. I have no fucking idea where this came from. This is too small in diameter to fit any of the locking screws on any of the Mark 5. Like, I've tried it in every hole, plus every hole has a screw. That's what she said. But it's just too small in diameter. Like, this one literally fits inside the elevation knob and the windage and the parallax, and each of them have all of their screws. So there's 2 for the elevation, both there. 3 for the competition windage dial from DI Precision. All 3 of them are in there. And then 3 on the parallax. I've dialed the scope up and down. still looks like it functions fine. Obviously, I'm going to take it to the range now. No blurriness in the glass. Nothing on the bottom of the actual erector housing. And this is stainless steel, so it doesn't match anything from the mount. And also I tried it in some like side holes on the rail here, but again, it's just really small in diameter, so I have no fucking idea where this thing came from. If I do figure it out, it's obviously not the throw lever because that's just one big cap head. It's not the level either because there's only 2 screws to mount it here and then one on the bottom, and that's it. So I seriously have no fucking idea where this thing came from. I really don't. If I did, I would tell you guys. If this thing disintegrated in my hands, I would show you 1000%. If it was missing, I'd show you where it came from. I just truthfully am absolutely baffled. And unfortunately, maybe I can zoom in on the footage and try to figure out where it came from after the fact. And I'll post an update. It's not from the base or anything. This is an MPA mount with a flatline ops. No, I don't hear anything loose in there. Flatline ops bubble level. This one's for a spur, but the MPA mount has spur interface on the side. But everything, I mean, I don't fucking see anything. I don't know. Drop a comment below if you think you know where it came from. Obviously, I'm gonna save it and see if I can figure out where the fuck it came from. But this thing is small. It took me a while to find it. So we'll see. Damn, okay. Well, let me put it off to the side real quick. Yeah, shit. Okay, well, yeah, so this is why we do these things, guys. This is why we do these reviews, and, okay. I kind of lost my train of thought here, but, I know that I was on the Mark V, and, I think I was talking about 50 meter or 50 yard parallax being the minimum, and, not seeing it at 22 matches. Yeah, I don't see it a ton at 22 matches, actually ever. And yeah, but this is a good crossover hunter PRS type scope. But again, you know, missing a couple features like a locking eyepiece and illumination on the PR2. They have other reticles that are illuminated, but they're not great reticles in my opinion. 35 mil tube. And it's the only 35 mil tube on the table, and it's probably the only popular scope I can think of that has a 35 mil tube. So something to keep in mind. Not the end of the world. There's plenty of 35 mil options, but if you don't already own one of these, chances are you'll have to buy some rings or a mount to go with it. So just keep that in mind. But 56 mil objective, like I said, it's pretty light, close to 30 ounces, and not super long, not super short, just kind of in that middle space. So it'll fit pretty decent on anything. They do have a couple of different options because it's a user replaceable elevation turret, and then obviously this competition wind dial from DI Precision. So they have a competition dial that just has bigger numbers on this particular scope. 10.5 mils per turn, so you know, good spacing, nice big numbers, all that kind of jazz. All right, I think that's pretty much it. And then throw lever includes a sunshade in the box, and this is the bone spur from Flatline Ops in terms of a throw lever, and that's pretty much it. Obviously, it comes in black or this tan. All right. Next up, we'll go with the Kahles. This is the 3-28, the DLR. This is the DLR version. Okay, so this one is equipped with left side windage, which I actually love. I love left side windage. My 5-25s have had left side windage, and if I'm gonna run a Kahles, I'm absolutely 100% running left side windage because there's no point in having in my opinion, having a Kahles with a center mounted parallax and still keeping your windage on the right side, unless you're a lefty. Then obviously reverse it so you get the windage on the proper side. But as a right-handed shooter, having this is absolutely awesome. When I ran this, there was multiple stages where I was dialing wind for every target that I was shooting, not just... Normally what I'll do is I'll dial in a base wind. So I'm getting to be a big wind dialer now. And normally what I'll do is I'll dial in my base wind and then just hold the difference there. But this one, because it's on the left side, it made it so much easier to just dial the exact wind I needed for each target. Now, I didn't do that for every single stage, but the ones where it made sense, like easy troop lines near to far, 2 shots each, or far to near, 2 shots each. So I didn't have to like go in and out and do a bunch of back and forth. It was just all in one direction of dialing. So those stages, and it just makes it that much easier to have a super precise hold, okay? As far as parallax, you have a 20 meter parallax, so this will be really good for rimfire stuff. It is short, and it is a 50 millimeter objective with an absolutely massive ocular, okay? So being that it's short, you can put this on a hunting rig. It's sort of lightweight-ish, and you have plenty of room for clip-ons in the front. You can also run the sunshade, right, to just make it look more proportional, because this front section is just super fucking small. I'll never understand why they did that. It just doesn't make a lot of fucking sense at all. Windage has this like twist guard thing where like the outside edge twists, so like if you accidentally like rub it on something, it essentially is supposed to treat it like a lock where it won't, but then you have to actually grab it to like turn it. So it pretty much works mostly. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Neither here nor there. Fast focus eyepiece, so non-locking there if you're into locking. Obviously, the field of view on this scope is absolutely massive. Again, I don't want to get into a whole review on this one, so make sure you check out my actual review of this particular scope, and I'll kind of break it down a little bit more. 36 mil tube, which is becoming a little bit more popular. Obviously, the ZCO kind of started the popularity of that. And then Tangent 7 to 35 is also a 36 mil tube, and now this Kahles is also a 36 mil tube. So if you own some of those other scopes, you may be fine on a mount, but if you're coming from a 34, then you will need a mount similar to how I mentioned with the Leupold. You'll probably need a mount or rings of some sort. I went Hawkins one piece on this. Obviously, I like to try a bunch of different mounts and rings, but I went Hawkins individual rings just because of the limited real estate space on this particular scope. So limited mounting configurations and options, because you also have to be careful with the center mounted parallax not to have a rail that will interfere with that. So something to consider there. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Obviously, basically a 3.5 to 28 magnification. And I guess I'll just touch on it now. Compatibility with this trigger cam, for those of you that give a shit, is absolutely 0. This thing is so big that it'll literally eat the trigger cam. Like, the ocular is bigger than the entire fucking trigger cam. The ocular is so big that I'll take the next biggest ocular, which is a ZCO, and I can literally put it inside the ocular. Like, literally. It's absolutely just... Look at this shit. Absolutely just dumb. Dumb. Okay, so the 3 to 28 is absolutely bonkers in the eyepiece. Pretty forgiving, but it just looks ugly as fuck to me. Not that a lot of guys care about looks, but something to consider. After that, Nightforce 7 to 35 ATACR. This is the MIL-XT reticle in the tan. In the DLR, you don't get shit in the box, really. No, like sunshade or scope caps or anything like that. Here with the 7-35, you guys, I mean, this scope's been fucking around forever, and truthfully, the design is just long in the tooth. At some point, Nightforce needs to come out with a new design for a rifle scope, not just a new fucking color, but they're Nightforce, and they're slow, and they're going to do what they want, and Nightforce always has the holier than thou mantra, and you can tell them I fucking said that, because y'all just don't like to listen to anybody, or if you do, you don't do anything about it. And they just, I don't know, they rest on their laurels now, and they just kind of feel like, well, we've got, you know, military contracts and plenty of fucking product placement and all these movies and shit. And while accurate, historically accurate, perhaps, I mean, you know, at some point, guys, innovate. You're falling way the fuck behind. Now, 7-35 is a good scope. Still has, of course, the legendary, infamous, probably a better word, rotating ocular. It does come with the color matched, or not color matched, but tan, theme matched Tenebrex scope covers, and they are labeled Nightforce in the front there, and Nightforce in the back. Obviously, 12 mils per turret, or per turn on the turret. These are translating turrets. I mean, you guys know all about this. This is going to be the lowest indicated, like with a number marked parallax, is going to be 15 yards, but that looks to be your 10-yard mark. I don't know why they put a dot there. They could have just fucking etched in 10, but whatever. So 10 meters to infinity. Push button illumination. Obviously the Kahles is a rheostat illumination on the opposite side of the windage, since they switch places on a left side. This is a capped windage, and then you guys know that it comes with a beauty ring, so if you want to leave the windage uncapped but protect the threads here, it just comes with like a ring that you could thread over that, no big deal, to be able to dial anytime you want. This is traditionally how long we see like full-featured scopes with 5 erector ratios and whatnot, 56 mil objective. Shout out to Scope Chaps. Love these things. This is a Scope Chap. And that's pretty much it. In the box, you'll get a sunshade that is color matched FDE. You'll get a lens cloth and a nice little Nightforce tool for the turrets, and all that kind of good stuff. You'll get this little mini throw lever thing, which is sort of useful, but being that the whole ocular rotates, I just kind of just grab whatever and just turn it, and that's fine. Works with a trigger cam, no problem in terms of like strapping it on and the spacing with the throw lever. The problem is that you can't adjust magnification, because if you do and you zoom in too much, well, I guess you could use it if you set up your trigger cam at the max mag and just zoom out, but you're rotating the entire image, and in post it's an absolute fucking nightmare to sort of edit that, at least to make it look clean. You could just cut to when you start shooting, but if you're cranking up like mid-target or something like that, it just looks absolutely terrible. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I want to touch on in this particular part of the video on that scope. But yeah. All right. Tangent Theta. This is the 5-25. So obviously this and the Nightforce are both 34 mil tubes. This is a Hawkins one piece in the limited edition gold. This, as I mentioned, has the Gen 3 XR reticle, not the Fine, just the OG. Another Scope Chap, so shout out to them. Obviously love their stuff. Tangent only comes in one turret option, as most of these scopes. There is a non-DLR version of the 3-28 as well, but I wouldn't suggest that one. This is going to be a 15 mil, but as you know, the turrets are so good, so absolutely good on this thing, that it doesn't matter. I'm not a huge fan of 15 mil per turn, especially for PRS. You just don't need that much, and I appreciate wider spacing and things like that, but these are just so fucking good that it doesn't matter. Nice and big knobs, so, you know, easy to grab and turn. You've got parallax and illumination. Illumination here is numbers with an off detent in between each one. I'm sure you guys all know that. Locking eyepiece here. So in the box, you do get like a ARD, so like a little, essentially, you know, like a honeycomb sunshade, a sunshade with a honeycomb in it. I have seen people actually just literally punch out that honeycomb to get like a short. It's pretty short. It's only like maybe 2 inches long, but just to get a sunshade on this thing. Or you can buy a sunshade now that I've seen that's just comically long. I think it's like fucking 5 inches, and this is already a long rifle scope as it is. So you could do that. But other than that, it comes with Tenebrex caps. These are Tangent Theta labeled. Very nice. Obviously, you know, Armament owns the Tenebrex company and Tangent and L-cans and all that kind of shit. So they have a lot in their portfolio, but they definitely obviously made good use of having that available to them. All right. This one does work with a trigger cam. Again, kind of similar to the Leupold situation where there's a nub here on the magnification ring. So you just want to pull it back just a smidge so it doesn't rub that, so you still have full range. But other than that, it works pretty well with some of the shims. You just got to figure out which shim. All right. Next, we're doing the 5-45 Schmidt bender. Now, this thing is a very interesting rifle scope. You don't really see these in PRS a ton. I've only seen them literally a handful of times. And you see them with like European shooters a little bit more than American shooters. And I just think that this scope really fell by the wayside because, one, Schmidt doesn't have any fucking good reticles, at least at the time that this thing came out. I mean, no good PRS reticles. And again, this is the LRR reticle, which is supposed to be like an ELR reticle. But the reason that I chose that reticle over the Grid 2 reticle, the GRID2, and even the TRID2, which is their newest, just traditional tree reticles, because I don't want tree reticles anymore. I have gone away from tree reticles. So newer scopes that I'll be getting will, if the company has an option, will not have tree reticles. So similar to the ZCO, this latest 8-40, I picked the 1X. This one I picked the LRR. And also another reason for that LRR choice is because the reticle is super thin. And I'm gravitating more and more towards thin reticles because I shoot at higher magnifications. So I want it to thin out a little bit. I'm normally at around between 20 and 22 power on most scopes for all my stages. Sometimes higher than that, but rarely lower than that now. And especially when shooting something like a Dasher or a GT, you really don't want your reticle to get in the way of seeing potential splash. And again, being that I'm pretty much dialing everything, and I haven't encountered a holdover only stage in a long, long time, and you can kind of still get by with those types of stages. But I think in this 5-45, the LRR was going to scale very nicely versus the GR2ID. Number one, I never hold under, so all the hold unders just didn't do it for me. And as well as like all the boxes in the tree, just it's not super my cup of tea. I just feel like it's crowding a lot now. So that's why I went this way. D27 turrets, so you know, it's 14 mils per turn. Not a huge fan of these turrets. They're very low profile. 14 mils on something like this is not like the greatest. The hash marks are kind of small. The best turret is the DT2 Plus that they offer now. And I have actually contacted Jerry over at Schmidt Bender, so shout out to you. I will be sending them this exact scope so they can swap out my elevation turret. At cost, obviously, it's like I think it's like $500 or whatever, something right around 500. And to me, it was worth it because I got such a good deal on this actual scope that if I had bought this scope with the LRR and the DT2 Plus turret in the setup that I want, it would have been significantly more expensive. So I'm still coming out way ahead, even with the extra 500 of having this one converted. All right, 34 mil tube. This one, unlike other Schmidt benders, isn't too much of a pain in the ass with the illumination tumor back here because you have more mounting space. This one's an Area 419 mount though. Really impressed with these mounts. Super impressed with these mounts. So can't recommend them enough. But yeah, I mean, 34 is about as popular as you can get. This one will parallax down to 30 meters all the way to infinity using essentially what is going to be like 100 and really 100% of the fucking turn. And then you have capped windage. There is no beauty ring for this, but the threads are kind of recessed in here, so not as exposed as like the Nightforce. So you can easily just run this without. This one does have essentially like an MTC or like a more tactile click, like a deeper detent at the 0, where you can still go past it, but it's much harder to kind of spin that off of 0, right? Again, this setup is not what's going to be on the turret long term, so I won't touch on it too much, but it does have the MTC clicks. All right, and yeah, that's it. Locking, unlocking, and all that good stuff. 56 mil objective. And I mean, if you guys know anything about Schmidt bender, you don't get jack shit in the box. You barely get a box. Having said that, the new Schmidt bender, like the new models, like the 6-36 and whatnot, come in a much nicer enclosure, much nicer box. But being that this is sort of a legacy model, if you will, it's barely a fucking box. I mean, it's sitting over there and yeah. All right. So that's all of that. Next, we have the ZCO. This is the 8-40. This is the 10 mil per turn NLE option. All right. This is obviously 56 mil objective. This one is also pretty long. It is not quite as long as the Schmidt. The Schmidt is the longest scope on this table, but this is longer than pretty much anything else. Even longer than the Tangent, and a lot of people thought that that was a long rifle scope. So obviously they have multiple turret options. They have a locking 15 mil per turn, and I believe now they have a locking 10 mil per turn as well. So few different options if you want 10 or 15 mil. You can get the 15 mil in non-locking as well. That's what's on my other 8-40 and a couple of my 5-27s. Locking windage is the only option. All right. Push, pull, all that. Parallax, I wish at some point they would do a left side windage, but I wish everybody would do left side windage at this point. Parallax and illumination. Illumination's on a rheostat, so kind of infinitely adjustable, which is awesome. You have 10 meters on your parallax minimum all the way to infinity, and it uses about, I don't know, 95% of the throw. Okay. Magnification ring here. Locking eyepiece again. Oh, the Schmidt was fast focus, non-locking eyepiece. This is a locking eyepiece. Again, 36 mil tube, but plenty of mounting real estate, so you can, you know, kind of put it however you want. Obviously, I went spur on this one. Spurs are just always a good, solid choice. Another flatline ops side level here. And that's pretty much it. In the box with the ZCO, you don't get scope caps, but you get bikini covers and a neoprene cover, and then, you know, all your paperwork and whatnot. There is a sunshade available. It's a shorty. I think it's like 2.5, 3 inches long. It's like $50. This scope is already really fucking long, so I didn't want to put a sunshade on top of it, but that is an option if you want. As far as these two with the trigger cam will not fit on any of the new style Schmidt benders that have this knurling here, if you will. So the older ones, like these that come with the Butler Creeks, have a rubber ring around the eyepiece. It will fit on those, but these ones that have this metal eyepiece and the knurling on here, it's too big. So it will not fit on there in any way, shape, or form, even without spacers. The knurling is really what does it. So unfortunately, that will not work. The ZCO, it works, and I've ran it plenty of times. The only thing is that you have to, and I'm literally going to show this on video, so you have to get a longer screw for this portion, and then you just have to kind of accept the fact that it's going to go metal on metal and scratch the shit out of your scope, but it fits. Look at that. Fucking fits. The other thing to keep in mind is where this fin index is. the little fin on the magnification ring. So here I can shoot it up to, the way it's indexed, I can shoot it about, what is that, 19-ish power and below, okay? So obviously if you want to use the high side of that, then just have it turned, and then here I can go from, I don't know, 33 to 40. So not great there in terms of a lot of adjustment, but it is what it is. And yeah, it's going to do some of that to your scope. Rub it a little bit, but I mean, fuck it, dude. I don't really care. It's just a fucking scope. So it does work, but again, no shims on there. Next, we have the S3, the ZEISS. This one is a little bit shorter than what we're used to. 34 mil tube, 56 millimeter objective. This is 10 mils per turn on the elevation. And obviously, right side windage locking windage, just pull and push to lock, unlock, all that kind of stuff. The parallax is unmarked, so we have our first unmarked parallax in terms of yardage. All these other scopes have had marked parallax. Except for the tangent. The tangent also has unmarked parallax, just a band. And then you have numbers here for red and green on your illumination with an off between each position. Magnification ring, you have 3 indexing points for the throw lever that does come with the scope. It's in the box. Tension's pretty good though, so I didn't use one. And you have a fast focus eyepiece here. This one does fit with a trigger cam. It's just a really, really tight fucking fit because of that rubber. It kind of like sort of flares out at the back end, so you have to like wiggle it on top of that, because if you go up a size in terms of spacers, it'll just be way too wiggly. So ironically, this is the same spacer that my Razor 36 to 36 uses, and it works. Ironic that both 6 to 36 Japanese made scopes have similar eyepiece dimensions. Wink, wink, cough, cough. All right. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as in the box, like I said, it's a massive box, so it's well protected. But that's about it. It's it's pretty barren. You can buy scope caps and you can buy a sunshade for it, but does not include anything. All right. Old, trusty, the gold standard that once was. The 5 to 25. So this is obviously 34 mil tube, very similar to the 5 to 45. Your minimum parallax is going to be 10 meters here instead of 30. And this is going to have the double turn turret, which is still 14 mils per turn. I've never been a huge fan of these turrets, or really any, really I've never been a fan of any Schmidt Bender turrets until this latest DT2 Plus setup that they have. But this is kind of like the OG setup. Obviously, you have your windage here. It's just windage. And you have this one is the OG one with the rubber magnification ring. A lot of the newer ones have like even newer 5 to 25s have a aluminum magnification ring, but this one's obviously an OG. This one has the illumination delete, so you can actually send it back to Schmidt Bender and have them remove the the illumination knob. Now, the only problem is that doesn't increase your mounting options, because if you look closely, it's still like a separate housing here, essentially, on this body, on the scope body, so you can't run the rings further back. You would normally only delete this if you're like a lefty, because a lot of people would smack their hand on said knob, especially on 90-degree bolts. All right. Fast focus eyepiece, not going to show you because, again, you guys have seen it, but it's just a rubber eyepiece. 56 mil objective, and good luck getting anything in the box. Schmidt Bender does sell sunshades as well, but yeah, you don't get shit in the box. You get Butler Creeks, and that's the same thing as shit. Okay? And the Steiner. This is the M7XI IFS. Now, truth be told, I bought this one used, and I didn't even get the box with it. It just came like this with the mount and with the bubble level, but just wrapped up really nicely, but just like this. So I actually don't know if it comes with anything in the box. Drop a comment below if you have a Steiner M7, and let me know what it comes with in the box, and if the box is even halfway decent, or is it Schmidt Bender. And other than that, you've got, so this setup is the only kind of turret option that you have, but it's what's essentially 15 mils per turn, and non-locking windage, just standard turrets. You have your 50 meter parallax on this particular scope. Really only uses maybe 60% of the turn to get there. And then you have illumination here with an off position in between each number, right? 56 mil objective, a little bit shorter than your other scopes, and this does come with a Steiner, like, they're pretty nice. They're not Tenebrex, but they're pretty nice, like flip caps. Like, they're definitely usable. So that's cool. And then obviously it's a fast focus rubber eyepiece. A little tough to get that off with the battery housing here. And then obviously you have the massive housing. So obviously this is not going to work with a trigger cam because there's just no way to fucking get it on here. So I wish it did though, because if it did, I would use it all the fucking time just so I could show you how fucking cool this thing is. Like the display and the layout and that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it just does not, right? Magnification ring is rubber and pretty good tension. And yeah, this one's obviously in a spur mount with accuracy first level. And this one has the illumination thing going on. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's got like, yeah, the backlight there. All right. And that's it for the Steiner. Oh, and this one has the MSR2 reticle. And then I believe I mentioned earlier, but this is the H59 reticle. And obviously ZEISS only has 1 mil option, the Z whatever the fuck it's called. I forgot. It's just some weird name. The trigger cam will work on this Schmidt Bender. So if you guys are looking at a 5-25 legacy model or have one already, trigger cam will work on that. Okay. I think that's mostly it. The Kahles DLR 5-25 is basically the same setup as this 3-28 in terms of left side windage. It's 10 mil per turn. Like the center saddle section looks almost exactly the same. So it's pretty much set up that same way. The Razor 2s, you guys all know, comes with a sunshade, 10 mils per turn, locking turrets, and fast focus eyepiece. And I'm trying to think anything else that we really want to throw in there. It's pretty much it. I mean, again, just wanted to kind of touch on like the base features of each scope and what's available. Obviously the Tangent has the world famous like toolless turrets and all that kind of stuff. Everything else here is going to be like a set screw sort of setup. So loosen the set screws and go to 0 and have at it. These two, the Nightforce and the ZEISS, are like a clutch system for the 0 stop. The ZCOs and the Schmidts and the Steiners and even the Kahles, pretty much everything else, and the Leupold has a 0 stop that's already set for you. The Schmidt is a hard stop right at 0, 5 below. This one's 5 below as well. Tangent's 5 below. So Kahles is like 2 below, 3 below. But those are already hard set for you. You can't really adjust them at all. So I think that's pretty much it. If you guys want anything else, drop it in the comment below. And we're going to wrap up this particular sort of what I call the feature section of each scope. All right. And I'm going to do part 3 next.